Can anybody find me somebody to love?
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to talk about Batman Annual number 2. There's been a lot of people that have reviewed this comic book, but I just thought I'd give my 2 cents worth because I really enjoyed this comic. This was probably one of the few one-shots that is well worth picking up. It's extremely rare nowadays to get a comic book that has a self-contained story in it, because the nature of comic book storytelling nowadays is that everything is soap opera storytelling. So it's pretty rare to get a really classic, really good, simplistic, beautifully told and beautifully illustrated story, one shot, all in one comic book that you can just pick up, done in one. And this is it. This really is it. This is highly recommended. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the best story I've ever read. It's not. But it's really, really good. It's really good. You're going to feel that you got your money's worth if you pick this up. This is a really good comic book. I highly recommend it. It's really good. Because at heart, this is a story about love. This is not a complex tale at all. This is a story about a love story between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, and between Batman and Catwoman, and how it all began. And it has enough doubts in it, enough seeds of doubt, that it makes you wonder, well, what was the real story? When did they first meet? Did they meet on a boat, or did they meet on a street? Does it really matter? Because at the end, what matters? Just love. Love is all that matters. There's something beautiful about a simplistic tale that focuses on love, on simply love between two people. And this is a story well worth reading. The story starts off, I got to give kudos to Tom King. Tom King, the writer here, has done a fantastic job, and the artists, wow. Artist Lee Weeks did pages 1 to 30, and Michael Lark did pages 31 to 38. Lee Weeks and Michael Lark, the highest compliments to them. Frankly, I didn't even notice that much of a distinction between their art. There is if you scrutinize it, but it's so they so beautifully sort of blend in their art with each other's styles that this story, it's just beautiful to read. The writing is so powerful in its simplicity that you don't even notice the subtle change in the artistic style. And it really, and the artistic style, I can't give a higher compliment to Lee Weeks and to Michael Lark and to Tom King when I say that this story, I read it, I wanted to reread it, and then when I was done a second time, I wanted to reread it a third time. Again, you know, what the strangest thing is, I say again, this is not a multi-universal tale. This doesn't involve, you don't need to read anything else to understand the story. This, at heart, is just a story about Batman and Catwoman and what makes them tick. And it's a story, it starts off with them basically meeting, what brings them together, and it basically ends with, spoiler warning, if you don't want spoilers, don't continue, shut it off the YouTube right now. But the bottom line is, it ends with Bruce Wayne on his deathbed, dying, and Selina Kyle with him, surrounded by members of the Batman family, all his loved ones. And he dies the way that we all want Batman to die, Bruce Wayne to die, surrounded by loved ones, dying in peace, and holding the hand of Selina Kyle, whose last words to him are, "I love you." It's absolutely beautiful. And it doesn't get any better than that. But there's far more to what makes this an extremely memorable, in my view, a memorable Batman tale. And in particular, is that there's so much hype around Batman. Every time a writer takes on Batman, they think that they have to tell this huge, complex tale, and we have to get into the head of Batman, and we got to dissect him, and what makes him tick, and how dark does he get, etc., etc. This is a Batman who, very quite frankly, loves Selina Kyle. He just does his job. He's Batman because he wants to help people. And at the end of the day, he knows he's dying. He knows he's dying from Alzheimer's. He's losing his memory. And he just wants to go out. He wants to make sure that Selina's cared for, that the Bat family's cared for, Selina's cared for. And that's the most important thing to him. He even at one point, Bruce Wayne at one point in the story even says that he references other multiple Earths where there's Batman and other Earths that are alone and never had a loved one, and they could come to this Earth to protect Selina. So even at the end, he's thinking about protecting Selina. But it's exactly how you would expect Bruce Wayne to be. But the thing that touched me the most, and the thing that really stands out is, you know, all the past big Batman stories with Batman defeating death, Batman defeating the anti-life equation, Batman defeating Darkseid's Omega beams from Final Crisis, fighting his way back through different time periods, Batman is insurmountable, not even death can defeat Batman. This humanizes Batman in a way that no other story has humanized Batman ever in my mind. This is Batman who, frankly, he dies from Alzheimer's. Period. It kills him. He doesn't defeat death. You can't defeat death. You can't defeat death at all. Everyone's mortal. This is a mortal Batman who's dying from Alzheimer's. But yet, in the final stages of his life, he manages, in a very human way, in a way that we can all replicate ourselves. He manages to overcome even Alzheimer's. And how? Selina Kyle says, "I love you" on his deathbed. And somehow Bruce Wayne managed to figure out the precise timing of his death, somehow, or manages to give a message back to Selina, the love of his life, where in the final scene, an older Selina Kyle sits in the Batmobile for old time's sake, and beside her suddenly shows up a kitten with a note attached, and it's from Bruce Wayne. It's a beautiful scene. The note is very simplistic. It says, "I love you too, cat, from the first kiss to the last." So that was Bruce Wayne speaking from the grave and showing that love conquers all. This is a story of love. This is about as simplistic as you can get. It's a simple love story. That's all it is. And really at heart, aren't they all? That's what makes this such a beautifully written story. And just a couple other things about Tom King. I mean, the illustrations, Tom King writing, some of the illustrations here that are done by, I'm not even sure if this is Lee Weeks or Michael Lark, but I mean the center page, the staple page, is just a beautifully rendered page. I believe that's by Lee Weeks. Absolutely beautiful. And it's Catwoman and Batman standing off. And there's a juxtaposition of scenes from when they're in the young and in their prime and first meeting to when they're older and when they're near the end of their lives. In particular, there's a scene of them at the very beginning of their careers as, I guess, Batman as a crime fighter and Catwoman as sort of a anti-hero / criminal thief, whatever. And basically, Catwoman is clearly obsessed with Batman, or at least appears to be stalking him and teasing him and breaking into Wayne Manor. She knows he's Bruce Wayne. And she basically says that, she's fascinated with Batman. And at one point, Batman asks her, why do you keep following me? She says, "Because you're weak. You need to be better. I have to make you better. I have to teach you where you're weak or you're going to die." And basically Batman's wondering, why do you care if I live or die? Why do you keep coming around? Why do you care? Why do you keep, you're a criminal. Eventually I'm going to have to catch you. Why do you keep doing this? Why do you care if I live or die? He thinks that they're different, but Selina makes it clear that, no, Bat, it's not, we're not different. We're just the same, is what her message is. And it underscores the power of the love between them. Even though they're different, even though she's a thief at heart, and even though he's driven by his obsession, driven by the loss of his parents when he was young, there's a connection between them. She cares for him, and that's why she doesn't want him to be hurt. She wants him to be the best that he can be, and he wants the same for her, because there's a later scene where Bruce Wayne, of course, obviously discovers who Catwoman is, that she's Selina Kyle. He discovers where she lives. And he also cares where she lives. He also cares about her. And there's a very powerful scene where Selina asks him, "Well, what do you want from me? What do you want? Do you want to help me?" And he says, "No, I don't want to help you." And instead, of course, he wants to show his desire for her. And the beautiful part about that scene, and that is at the beginning of their careers when they're young, is that it's juxtaposed against one of the final images, the final pages, where Selina Kyle, an older Selina Kyle, comes down into the Batcave where Bruce Wayne is lifting weights, and you could tell his mind is slowly fading due to Alzheimer's. He asks her, "What are you trying to help me? Do you want to help me?" And she says, "No, I don't want to help you." And she kisses him passionately again, essentially saying that they're forever young, that youth is really a state of mind. It doesn't matter how old you are, and that, you know, they're together not to help each other, because neither one of them need help per se. They're both strong and independent people, but they love each other. They enhance each other. That's why they're together. That's the beauty of this story. It's the power of love. You enhance each other. That's why you're together. It's such a simple message, but it's a self-contained story, and it's beautiful at the end when Selina, there's Batman. He's surrounded by members of the Bat family. The final thing that Catwoman says to Batman is, "I love you." Can you get more beautifully perfect than that? I mean, how much more simple can you get? And there it is, in its wonderful simplicity. And then naturally it ends. One of the very first scenes of the comic book is with Catwoman sneaking into the Batcave, saying meow, dropping into the Batmobile. And the final page of the story is an older Selina Kyle, after Bruce Wayne has died, dropping in for old time's sake, getting into the Batmobile, and lo and behold, a young kitten comes up beside her, and the kitten says meow instead of her, and attached to the kitten is a message from Bruce Wayne saying, "I love you too, cat, from the first kiss to the last." And that's how it ends. This is the epitome of perfection in terms of what annuals are supposed to do. Done in one-shots make you think, make you appreciate the beauty of these characters, the attraction of these characters, and gives you a really great message about our own lives, and that, love conquers all. And isn't that what it's all about? So here we have a Batman annual, and Batman didn't solve any major crimes. This wasn't about bad guys beating good guys. This was about the love between two people. That's what it's all about. So guys, this is a great story. Pick it up. This is a testament as to why we need more one-shots. We need more done in one. We need more brilliance along the lines of Tom King. Good job, Tom King, Lee Weeks, Michael Lark. You did a fantastic job. Guys, pick up Batman Annual number 2. In the meantime, Comic Boom out.